The time is now 7 o'clock.
Some parts of Korea are already under a heat wave advisory, and the year's first tropical night, that seems kind of unusual for June, right? But this summer is expected to get hotter and be even longer, which is certainly believable given the daytime highs we've been seeing. So while summer can be fun with beach time and all those ice drinks, the heat is also called the silent killer. And it can be deadly for people doing physical labor and those in vulnerable health conditions. So whether it's sunscreen, water, or using even a parasol, please be well prepared if you plan on going outside. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Wednesday, June 12th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, wavers. Oh, it's another warm morning already. I can feel it. Yes, the past 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, going into Wednesday already, it's definitely summer because as evidenced by the above 30 degrees Celsius temperatures and heat wave alerts in effects in some parts of the country. Also, Gangneung went through its first tropical night. This is where temperatures linger over 25 degrees Celsius throughout the night. And so this summer's first heat wave advisory came about a week earlier than last year. And the Korea Meteorological Administration, KMA, says that this particular heat wave signals the full-fledged start of summer. On top of that, the KMA says that the high ocean temperatures may lead to heat waves and heavy rain this summer. In fact, the number of heat wave days over the Korean peninsula has doubled in the last 25 years. Korea saw about 7 heat wave days between 1998 and 2002, which is when the daytime high exceeded 33 degrees Celsius. But in the years between 2018 and 2022, we saw an average of 15 heat wave days per year. This is happening not just here, around the world, with U.S. states like California, Arizona, and Texas under heat warnings. And parts of Xinjiang, China, are seeing over 40 degrees Celsius as the daytime high. India has it bad also with temperatures climbing up to 50 degrees, killing at least 45 people in the span of 2 days. And that was in late May. Once again, summer is in full swing, and it may be hotter and feel like it's really much longer than usual. We're going to have to brace ourselves and make sure we take care of ourselves and each other as well. You know, speaking of summer and, high temperatures, one of the most important things during summer is hydration. So how much water or liquids do you drink per day? You can give me, in cups, like how many glasses or cups of water you drink, or, specific, like I drink 1 liter of water throughout the day. If you have any tips on how to be better hydrated, how to drink water, do you have like a special way? Do you add in lemon? What do you do? 자, 너무 덥죠, 요즘에요. 월, 화, 오늘 벌써 수요일인데 너무 더워요. 벌써 느껴지죠? In the morning. 계속 더운 날이 이어지면서 수분 섭취 중요하잖아요. 그래서 여러분은 하루에 물 얼마나 드시는지, 그리고 물을 많이 자주 먹을 수 있는 팁도 있다면 share with us all your tips. You can send in your messages to BFM's live stream, live chat on YouTube, pound 9050. That's going to cost you 101. You can reach me for free on Kakao Talk as well. You can listen to our program in various ways. Like I just mentioned, and I say it every day because we often get like messages like, oh, you guys are on YouTube. Yes, we are live streaming right now, so you can listen to us and watch at the same time. You can use that platform to, watch or listen at your leisure. We also have the Patbang app for your convenience. Looking ahead to our hump day together, we have Jo Soo-gun from Bexco. It's Bexco BTS. No, behind the scene, not that. Definitely to find out what happens behind the scenes at one of Busan's landmarks. We have Jennifer with Skills 101, and for our special interview, kind of goes with our entire theme today. We are going to get the nitty-gritty on Sunscreen 101, the basics. What do we need to know? Are all sunscreens equal? Probably not. We have an expert coming on with us in hour number 2. In the meantime, here are today's headlines. It is now 7:05. These are today's headlines. North Korean soldiers briefly crossed DMZ border, prompting warning shots. About 20 North Korean soldiers briefly crossed the inter-Korean border on Sunday and retreated after South Korea fired warning shots, said the Joint Chiefs of Staff yesterday. Prices of 5 popular dining out dishes on the rise in May. The average prices of 5 popular eating out dishes in South Korea kept rising last month, including pork belly, jjajangmyeon, and kimbap. South Korea defeats China 1-0 in World Cup Asian qualification. South Korea defeated China 1-0 at home yesterday, with parents St. Germain's Lee Gang-in scoring the winning goal in the second round of the Asian qualifications for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Suspect arrested in stabbing of 4 Americans in China. A suspect has been arrested in the stabbing of 4 U.S. college instructors in a public park in the city of Jilin in northeastern China. The injuries are not considered serious. Hunter Biden found guilty on all charges in gun trial. U.S. President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, has been found guilty on all 3 counts in its federal gun crimes case. It is the first time a sitting president's child has been found guilty of a crime. And these are today's headlines. It's time for Busan Updates. We have Haley in the studio. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, today it's all about summer, the heat, and really importantly, hydration. Is it water or coffee though?
It's coffee right now. I mean, hey, people need, it's just life, can I call it life water? It is
Life water.
sustenance my 정신 for the morning. I mean, you know, but I do, this is what? 500 and something,
Yes.
591 milliliters. So I do drink after I finish my coffee, wash it out, kind of rinse it out. I mean, the first couple rounds do taste a little bit like coffee because I don't do a thorough job. But I try to drink at least 3 of these. I just fill it.
Of
and
water?
Of water.
Okay.
Of water.
All day
So that'll
long?
be like 1.5 liters.
That's a lot. Good for you.
It is a lot. But then, you know, I'm sure you do too. Like, you talk for a living and your throat does get a little parched and dry
yeah.
and cracked. So yeah, I try to drink a lot of water. My tip, straws are great for like gulping in more water because
Yes,
as opposed
yes.
to you're like sipping versus, I mean, just like pushing it down your throat with a straw, it
Right.
does, you do drink quite a bit more.
That's
Yeah.
true. Straws. I should try that.
Yeah, I used to do the crystal things, the powder to flavor your water,
yes.
but I heard it's also not great for you.
Right.
So, I mean, I know. Water, like pure old H2O is great, but sometimes I do have like 0 drinks. And
I do too,
yeah,
once in a while,
yeah.
because you need a little flavor once in a
do.
while.
You need flavor in your life.
Especially during summer, right? All right. Well, let's get into our first update. We're going to go to the industrial complexes in Eastern Busan where this fundamental aspect, water, is very much an issue.
Right, but not for hydration, but industrial water. So the
Yes.
thing about this is industrial plants, I mean, depending on what sector it is, but they need massive amounts of industrial water for their production.
Yes.
But actually, there are 0 industrial water supply pipes in eastern Busan.
Oh.
So overall, there are 466 industrial water pipes throughout Busan, but we can't really say throughout because they're all in western Busan, the traditional traditional industrial complex stronghold. Because these water pipes are built into the city system in the 80s and 90s when essentially where all the industrial complexes were located in Western Busan, and Eastern Busan was really not even developed at that time. However, with the development coming in Eastern Busan in the 2000s, there are now actually 14 industrial complexes with over 600 firms.
Yes.
And they have increased calls for industrial water supplies.
Well, we need to ask, how does this lack of water supply affect those companies?
Well, let's first talk about how much water these firms do require, because there's one secondary battery company, for example, which is currently building a production plant in Eastern Busan.
Sure.
It estimates about 2,800 ton of water usage per day. So that is actually higher than one industrial complex uses, which is about 1,600 ton.
Okay.
So that's the thing, though, with these cutting-edge new technologies like secondary batteries and semiconductors, they need massive, massive amounts of water than traditional manufacturing industries.
Right.
That's for mostly cooling and to really water down the pollutants. So the more high-tech industries we have, the more water we will need. However, with no industrial supply pipes there, these companies lose that much money on water because they're using like tap water.
Sure,
and that is massively more expensive.
Right.
So then the concern is with overall development, with this lack of infrastructure, something as basic as water, well, then companies aren't going to want to move into the Eastern Busan industries because they don't want to pay an arm and a leg for water.
Sure.
Right.
So that is definitely something that needs to be addressed, right? So thanks for telling us about it. Next up, though, we are approaching June 18th. That is a date that the Korean Medical Association, or KMA, said that basically that's a deadline. They're going to go on collective strike, including university hospital professors. We need to know, what does the situation look like in Busan?
Right. So D-Day for your neighborhood clinics will be June 18th. However, for university professors, they have warned that they will take the day off on the 17th, at least according to the Seoul National University Hospital's professors. Fortunately, at least for now, no university hospital in Busan has expressed their intent to participate in that shutdown. And that includes Busan National University, Inje, Baek, Gosin, and Dongha University hospitals.
Yes.
One official from one of these hospitals said that they're not seeing any movements for now, but it is entirely up to the professors' associations to make that decision. Busan City has also issued an order to keep providing medical treatments and also to report the closure to the local authorities.
Yes.
I have seen online people saying, well, really take care of your health like from now on because we really don't want to be sick next week and, have to look for hospitals to go to.
That's true. And that's kind of sad that we have to think and
do that.
Right.
That's not something we can plan.
Yes. All right, let's move on and talk about something a little bit lighter, more fun. Barefoot walking. I think they call it earthing too, right? Yes. So tell us more about this because Busan City is like really getting into it, right?
We are like the city of barefoot walking, and the city is really working on branding itself because, we have the whole thing, the Busan is good, so it goes off of Busan is good for earthing or barefoot walking. So the city is currently in the process of this 7 beaches earthing challenge. So the first iteration was held in Haeundae back in May, part 2 in Gwangalri, and that is this Sunday.
Okay.
So it is a part of the ongoing 7 beaches challenge where the city holds barefoot walking activities all across the 7 beaches. So they're going down the line. The event is free. Yay. There are, it's open for about 4,000 people. They'll be divided into 8 groups. Each group will have a leader and they will walk a 2-kilometer course. Nice day too. Bring sunscreen, bring a hat, bring water, of course. But then it'll also be entertaining. There will be busking performances, stretching. I don't know who it was. I think we were talking about running one day, and one of the listeners says they want to run, but they have like knee pains. Stretching is so important before you walk or run. And also gifts, raffles. But you do have to sign up because the spaces are limited. There are 4,000 of them. So go to earthing, EARTHING.busan.com to sign up.
And I really feel how popular this is, barefoot walking, like around our campus, just on the kind of the dirt, earthy track at school. Like so many people that I've been noticing just taking their shoes off, coming on campus and just really enjoying it. So
I'm glad that they're doing this on the earth area.
Yes.
Don't do it on grass because there could be ticks.
Ticks, right.
Yes.
And definitely not on hot asphalt.
Oh, no.
Right. All right, next up, there is a fun film festival for youth, children and teens. It's coming up soon.
We love them. Biki. So Busan International Kids and Youth Film Festival is coming just in time for summer vacation. It is opening on June 10th at the Cinema Center, and this is the 19th run of the festival. So Biki is officially an adult, and they are. It's 19. It can drink.
Yes.
It will run for 4 days. In the competition category, which is called Ready Action, they're going to feature 49 films from 15 different countries. The opening film is Echo to Delta, which is 별의 메아리 in Korean by director Patrick Boyven.
Yes.
And it's just an interesting film. It's about two very close imaginative brothers. One goes missing. He mysteriously disappears. The older brother tries to prove that his younger brother has been abducted by aliens.
Aliens like 외계인.
Like 외계인, like extraterrestrial ET.
Right.
So the chief programmer says that this film shows the process through which children accept loss and grieving. So this will be very educational for not only children but parents as well.
Okay.
Very profound, and it is the first Korean premiere for the film.
Sounds interesting. I love the premise. So go check it out. And that does it for the update today. Thank you, Haley.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
okay.
Thanks. Sorry. Dead air. Thank you.
I was like, did I miss something?
No, we're good.
Okay. All right, now it's back to you, the listeners. It's time for a text topic. We're not arguing or anything like that. We get along, but we love each other, okay? Today, we're talking about hydration. How much water I'll include just liquids per day do you drink? Do you have any tips on how to drink more water? Because there are people that don't drink enough water. That side was for me. I get lectured every day. You need to drink more water. And I really, really do try. In the morning, I've been trying to drink that warm cup of water in the morning. I've been upkeeping it. I have to admit, though, every day the amount gets smaller and smaller. Anyhow, let us know. And in the meantime, here is your traffic and weather. It is now time for your traffic and weather. It is congested on 관문대로 from 국제백양 Apartments to 백양 Tunnel right now. There's also backup detected from Hwangyang Tunnel to the Hwangyang Ramp on the Dongso Overpass. It's also looking slow on Luno Samsungdae로 from Myeongji Underpass to Shino Bridge right now. It is already 24 degrees Celsius under clear skies. The daytime high will go up to 31 degrees once again for another hot day. There are special heat wave reports issued for Daegu and Ulsan, and the real field temperatures in certain areas may go above 33 degrees today. Showers are forecast for parts of Jeonbuk, Jeonnam, Gyeongbuk, and Gyeongnam from late afternoon. This was your traffic and weather.
Check this out.
This is Morning Wave Busan.
Everybody, wait a minute.
This is Morning Wave.
Morning Wave.
You are listening to
Morning Wave.
Morning Wave in Busan.
What show is this?
This is Morning Wave in Busan.
Here we go.
Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for News Digest, and our non-angry Haley is still in the studio with
By the
us.
way, I nodded.
She nodded, and I was
which,
just like,
when you forget you work for radio. Yeah. This is what, year 7? Yeah, I work for radio.
Yes.
So auditory medium.
Right.
Let's do this.
All right. For our first news story, the government is picking up speed on drilling for possible natural gas and oil reserve off the EC. We've talked about this, right?
Right. So the industry ministry announced that it is going to redefine the deep sea blocks in the EC to basically reflect the possible discovery of gas and oil in these areas.
Sure.
So why this is important, it is to pick a location for the first exploratory drilling that will begin in July, and that has been dubbed Operation Blue Whale or 대왕고래.
Okay.
So the deep sea areas are currently divided into 3 different sections, but the ministry is considering reconfiguring the area to 7, so more specific sites.
Okay.
And as a part of this adjustment, the state-run Korea National Oil Corporation, or KNOC, they plan to return its stakes in the deep sea reserves of the EC, and the government will relocate the development rights to essentially attract investment for the redefined block because it is going to be an expensive venture.
Well, as this is going on, however, there are questions being raised about ActGeo, the U.S. firm that reported on these findings, right?
Right. So this is quickly turning out to be one of the most contentious, controversial issues. So the media firm Sisain reported that ActGeo had not paid about $1,600 in franchise taxes, and therefore its status, it wasn't a status that forfeits its status of a taxable entity between the period of January 2019 and March of 2023. Why is that important? Because in February of 2023,
Right.
The Korean government struck a deal with ActGeo for the exploration when it was not a taxable entity.
Oh.
Right. So it's a weird gray area.
Yes.
So the Korea National Oil Corporation explained that while NatGeo's legal capacity had been partially limited in that specific period, there were no legal issues in regards to the service contract signed in February of 2023. So I suppose, although it was not a taxable entity, perhaps it wasn't paying them at the time. However, upon further controversy, yesterday, KNOC apologized, saying that it was actually unaware of the tax issues when the deal was signed in February. And it did admit that had the government requested ActGeo to submit its tax papers, it would have become aware, then could have solved the situation. But the public corporation did not comprehensively consider such aspect, which
I
is
see.
interesting because that was not a cheap contract. That's not, they're not just redoing tiles, for example. And it also explained that it has a deal with ActGeo on the locations of the drilling, but the basic responsibility and the ultimate decision-making rights, they do lie with the Korea National Oil Corporation.
Right.
So upon this, it is getting political because the Democratic Party's policy chief, Jin Sung-jun, said that with the suspicions surrounding ActGeo, they're mounting. So without a truth investigation or a probe, the party, which has the majority in parliament, cannot approve the budget for drilling.
Oh,
So
okay.
ultimately, it goes back to the money.
It does,
Right.
as it often does. All right, we're going to move on to our next story for now. Next, the government is conducting a first ever nationwide survey on isolated adolescents.
Right. So the Gender Equality and Family Ministry is conducting the first ever survey on isolated and secluded or reclusive teens to try to figure out their state of living, what they need, and really look for policy support. So the survey started yesterday online and they will run through the end of July. So first, we should define what isolated and reclusive teens means.
Yes.
So isolated, well, not just teens, adolescents. So they are 고립된 청소년. They're those who don't have anyone to turn to when they need help in urgent situations or for emotional support. So this is more of a social/emotional state. Is
Okay.
고립. And then 은둔형 청소년, which is secluded or reclusive adolescents. This is more of a physical, literal state when they don't leave their homes or rooms for a prolonged amount of time and they don't engage in social activities.
Interesting.
So, this is, there's a phenomenon, and unfortunately that does lead to, reclusive young adults, and that is lacking in the job market.
Sure.
So the survey is conducted online. It's open to those between the ages of 9 and 24. So quite a big range there.
So what are they exactly looking at?
Right. So they're trying to pinpoint when and how and why this seclusion or reclusiveness began.
Okay.
What their day-to-day life looks like, what their sleeping patterns are, eating habits, activities, and health conditions. And most importantly, how the individuals or how willing they are to potentially seek help or get out of this state. So after the survey, the ministry will connect those who are considered to be in urgent need with this pilot package that provides a whole wide range of support, including counseling, classes, that's for both like everyday life lessons and academics, and also family relationship recovery. So the ministry asked for local governments to actively promote the survey, and you can visit nypi-mogef.kr to participate in the survey.
Yes, yes. And I think this is important. We need the data in order to address the issues that our adolescents are facing.
Right,
So-
because I mean, it is so easy to kind of get used to those kind of, I don't want to say abnormal, but those like out of the average situations when you do live with these teens, but ultimately there are always underlying issues. So it's really
Right.
important to really get to the root of it.
And I'm sure COVID didn't help.
Of course.
Especially if you're already prone to those types of behaviors. All right, lastly, we're going to go over the results of the European Union elections where, the far right prevailed in Germany and France.
Right. So the European parliamentary elections, that is one of the world's biggest elections this year. The center right, so the moderate center right, they did manage to hold on to its majority. That's the European People's Party with the European Commission's president, Ursula von der Leyen, extending her term. However, we did see a rise of far right parties making gains. They are expected to hold a record number of seats in the European Parliament, and they generally have a less environmentally friendly and anti-immigration stance, which is kind of away from what the EU has been going towards in the past decades. So most of these gains, they were concentrated in France, Italy, and Germany, and they, by definition, because of their population, they have a larger number of EU parliamentary seats allocated to them.
Yes, yes. So one of the biggest winners, at least in France, we're talking about the far right, right? A French far right identity and democracy party. And we've heard this name before, Marine Le Pen.
And she is really building her political career. She has been for the past decade.
Right.
And that has been called a political earthquake in France. So Le Pen's conservative. So in France, her party's National Rally, NR, but in the European Parliament, it's called the Identity and Democracy Party.
Yes.
Well, they won 30% of the vote, which is double President Emmanuel Macron's Renaissance Party at 15. So that has prompted Macron to dissolve parliament and call for snap elections.
Sure.
So supporters of the far-right NR party says that it is the only party that mentions issues that they feel other parties ignore, like social instability, mass immigration, and what they call the Muslim issues.
Ooh, yes. And, you know, these are some of these, especially, well,
The snap
latter.
election, right.
And this concept does not exist in South Korean politics, right? Because we take kind of a mixture of like the UK system versus more American system as well. It's like a
Right.
combination, right? So we need to know what exactly are snap elections.
Right. So snap elections, you know, when there's a vacancy in parliament in Korea, we have by-elections, 대보궐선거, but it is for the entire parliament. So basically, the president or prime minister, depending on where we are, they can dissolve a parliament and call for an election before the scheduled date.
Okay.
So once again, the entire parliament gets an overhaul. There's a distinction that we should make. So Emmanuel Macron's party in France did not lose the election,
Yes.
but his alliance in the European Parliament did lose to Marine Le Pen's party. So Macron, in addressing the nation, announced that the dissolution of the current parliament will happen and the country will hold 2 rounds of voting. A few weeks, one in June and the other one in July, right before the Paris Olympics. So he is putting a lot at stake.
Everything
Because he
on
could
the
have
line.
just cruised.
Yes.
I mean, because once again, the French parliament is in his favor, so he could have just cruised. But it is a show of confidence. Interestingly, the first round of polls did not bode well for his party. So they they do not affect him, as president because he's not a prime minister, as we see in the British system. But it is a political risk if he does lose, because then he will start a year's worth of lame duck sessions, and it could potentially have Marine Le Pen as prime minister.
Oh, and that would be uncomfortable.
That would be an uncomfortable cohabitation of vastly different parties.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for going over all the top news stories, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2, right?
That's right. See you in a bit.
All right, everybody, this was Haley. We're going to take our first song break. Perfect for summer. Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles.
Tastes like strawberries on a summer evening, and it sounds just like a song. I want more berries and that summer feeling. It's so wonderful and warm. Breathe me in, breathe me out. I don't know if I could ever go without. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know if I could ever go without watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar. Strawberries on a summer evening. Baby, you're the end of June. I want your belly and that summer feeling, getting washed away in you. Breathe me in, breathe me out. I don't know if I could ever go without watermelon sugar high, 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 watermelon sugar high. I just wanna taste it, I just wanna taste it, watermelon sugar high. Tastes like strawberries on a summer evening, and it sounds just like a song. I want your belly and that summer feeling. I don't know if I could ever go without watermelon sugar high, 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 watermelon sugar high. I just wanna taste it, I just wanna taste it, watermelon sugar high. I just wanna taste it, I just wanna taste it, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar.
Welcome back, everybody. Today's topic is all about heat safety as we are in day 3 of this particular heat wave. So the Korea Control Disease and Prevention Agency says that there were over 2,800 people who went to the emergency room last year with heat-related symptoms, which is an 80% spike from the year prior. And as this year's summer is forecast to be hotter and longer, we're definitely going to have to take care of our health. This is even more critical for people who do physical labor. The Busan chapter of the Korean Federation of Trade Unions held a press conference earlier this week calling on the government to take concrete measures. And they said that the heat waves and heavy rain caused by climate change are threatening labor's safety even more so than before. They also added that workers face increased physical and mental stress because of the heat. In conditions where temperatures can go well above 33 degrees Celsius, workers are recommended to take a 10-minute break every hour and to avoid outdoor work between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. But as these are only recommendations, it falls upon businesses to actually follow them, which unfortunately, as we have reported in the past, does not always happen. Once again, the heat is dubbed the silent killer, and we certainly need to keep that in mind in setting priorities for workplaces. Back to our text topic today. Today, since we're talking about summer and heat, we're going to talk about hydration. How much water, or maybe just liquids, generally speaking, do you drink per day? And especially for people who really dislike drinking water, or they just, kind of put it off, or they just don't drink a lot of liquids. Do you guys have any good tips on how to hydrate more? 너무 덥잖아요. 그래서 우리는 오늘 수분 섭취에 대해서 이야기를 하고 있는데요. 여러분은 하루에 물 얼마나 드세요? 예를 들어서 어떤 분들은 뭐 리터로 뭐 드시는 분들도 있고 아니면 몇 컵을 드시는지 그리고 물을 많이 자주 먹을 수 있는 팁도 알려주시면 I will spread the wealth of information to our other listeners. So let's go to some of your responses. All right, so I have Leslie who says, according to the athletic trainer at her gym, you're supposed to drink half your weight in ounces. So I will do the conversion in a little bit because, we use the metric system here. So she says if you weigh 140 pounds, you need to drink a minimum of 70 ounces per day. So that's according to her trainer. And she says she basically drinks either coffee or water only throughout her day with an occasional, I can't say the brand name of that soda. But I hear that Dr. Teng Teng is it's climbed. It's like the second most popular drink in the States. So that's in an article I just read the other day. What else? 고수 웨이버 says 저는 평소에 물을 많이 마시지 않아요. 갈증이 나면 음료를 마시긴 합니다. 너무 더운 여름엔 음료보다는 물에 타 먹는 홍초라는 제품을 만들어 먹어요. 물만 먹으면 하마 같지만 홍초 만들어 먹을 땐 딱 좋아요. Oh, yes. So, this, I think a lot of people can relate to. I'm not much of a water drinker. I know I need to. I tell myself every day, drink more water. And so I do that too. That special, 홍초 is that vinegary. Sometimes I use blueberry, boysenberry vinegar. I put a couple droplets into my water to make it more palatable. Yeah, so I feel really guilty today, and I certainly hope we can keep hydrated throughout the summer. All right, for today, though, here is your hot clip. For today's hot clip, I want to talk about animals. I love animals, but this story really caught my attention. Wild elephants seeming to address each other using distinctive rumbling sounds. Basically, scientists are saying this could mean that they are calling each other by name. Let's listen to the clip from DW.
Scientists researching African elephants have revealed that they appear to have names for each other. Researchers say they communicate using unique calls, low rumbles that can be heard across great distances that can be used to grab the attention of a specific elephant. Scientists say it's an ability that only a few wild animals have.
This low rumble is barely distinguishable to human ears, but Donatella the elephant seems to know exactly what it means. Scientists say that's because elephants have unique calls used to communicate across large distances. They've been eavesdropping on two herds in Kenya to create a sound library for their research.
About half of the sound in their call is below our level of hearing, so we actually cannot hear it. And so we had to use a special microphone to record these calls, and we also had to be quite close to them because sound attenuates with distance. And
researchers tested their results by playing recordings to elephants like Margaret. Here, she responds to a call specific to her, but this call isn't for her. And she doesn't call back.
Or sometimes when they're in a big group, a female or a matriarch of a group will give a call and the entire group will respond. They'll group up around her, they'll follow her or whatever. And then other times she gives seemingly a very similar call and nobody will respond, nobody will react to that call except for a single elephant. And that elephant will respond or come up to her or whatever. So that indicates that they have a means by which to communicate who they want to talk to.
Adult elephants were more likely to use names than calves, suggesting it could take years to learn the skill. Now scientists are working to crack the complicated code around the calls. They hope understanding what elephants are saying could lead to greater insights into how they think.
Yes, so as you heard in that clip, and I asked our producer to get rid of the BG so you can hear kind of the low rumbling of those elephants. So amazing how intelligent these animals are. There is so much we don't know about nature. And in today's clip, the wild elephants out there communicating, seemingly calling each other by name. This was your hot clip for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
Listeners, it is now time for a segment called Bexco BTS. And yes, I know Jin's getting out of the army. We're not talking about that BTS. Behind the scenes, right? So it is great to have Cho Sugun. She's back in the studio with us. Let's say hi to her. Good morning. Welcome back.
Hi. Good morning.
Yes. So I know that, last week was your first week.
Time.
Yeah. So
I was very nervous at the time.
But we couldn't tell because you were so great on air. And it's great to see you again.
Thank you. Yeah. So I thought that it could be just a one time. But I was so glad to hear that you said, I'll see you again.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
yes. All right. So I remember that last week you went over a number of events and, participants, the importance of the buildup of the scenes behind Bexco, especially in the early stages of Bexco, plus how things are really picking up since the pandemic, end of the pandemic. And it does seem like there are exhibitions lined up pretty much every week now at Bexco. Is that what's going on?
Yes. About this time, April, May, June, this is peak time, high time of the year.
Yes.
And also September, October, November, those months are a kind of a very busy season for the later part of the year. So in this time, every week is just packed with exhibitions and meetings and events, as what you said.
Yeah, so it's so busy once again every week at Bexco. Must be really, really busy for all the people and the events that are running. But usually, when I announce or we talk about events, they often run through Thursday to Sunday, it seems. That's very common.
Right.
So what about the rest of the days? Is it for preparation or what goes on the non-exhibition days?
Yes, usually after the event wraps up on Sunday afternoon, 5 o'clock, we just dive into dismantling the booth and cleaning the floor. That's very, very important. Sometimes when the event is a back-to-back, it's a continuously circle, and sometimes we clean overnight.
Overnight, staying up.
So
oh my goodness.
Because the thing should be ready just before the next schedule.
Yes.
Meeting.
That makes sense. I don't think we often think about the prep work, what goes on before and after an event, but there must be so much cleanup and prepping for the next event.
Right.
And so
we have very excellent cleaning team.
And sometimes, as you say, they work around the clock, overnight.
Yeah.
And I'm sure many people are wondering, how do you develop exhibitions? Because it's kind of by the time we go to Bexco for any event, everything is so well prepped. It looks like it's running so smoothly, but I'm sure there's a lot that goes into prepping for those exhibitions, right?
Right, just you brainstorm for the new program or a new segment for the radio show. And we also spend a lot of time thinking of figuring out how we can expand or grow existing exhibitions and to create a new one.
Sure.
Right. So sometimes we discuss about it in our annual workshop. And we have several exhibition teams. They're always thinking about new ideas and what we can do.
Yes.
So make it simple. Exhibition is just like a market.
Oh, like a market.
So you set target for who's going to be the buyer or consumers.
Yes.
And also what products can form a market. And if there are local specialties or local governments or government policy support, and we need to check if there is any exhibition in domestic exhibition or international exhibitions in competition, in similar exhibitions.
Right.
So thinking of all these aspects, and then we access the possibilities of creating new one.
Yes. So I always thought, like, let's say this particular group, like, they would contact you and say, hey, we want to put on an exhibition. But oftentimes you, the employees working for Bexco, you're coming up with these events. Interesting. So after an exhibition launches, how do you make it grow and like really expand? Because of course, if you're going to hold something, you want it to be successful. You want many people to come and really, for it to be successful. So what do you do?
It's really... it's not easy.
I'm sure, right?
Let me give you an example of an exhibition development and expanding the business opportunity. There's an exhibition called In Cosmetic Korea, hosted by Reed Exhibition. They are from UK. And this exhibition started in Birmingham, England in 1990 with the numbers of 80 exhibitors and 900 visitors. And in 5 years, 1995, they launched a technical seminar, which was titled as Exhibitors Seminar, because that was exhibitors for the exhibitors with the technical issue.
Yes.
And then later on, they changed the title as an Innovation Seminar, and that turned out great success. So they brought this idea of a technical seminar to the exhibition floor. So made a kind of area to show to exhibit all the latest products. Everything in one place. So that was very good for the time poor visitors or inquisitive visitors.
Yes.
So it turned out very successful, and they launched Korea in 2015. So after 25 years. So and the first show, I met show manager who were in charge of that show and asked, how many years they have prepared launching in Korea. They said 10 years.
10 years to prep?
Yeah. 10 years for preparing and researching the market of Korea.
10 years, an entire decade dedicated to how are we going to, penetrate the Korean market. And so 10 years. So basically, were they monitoring like the growth of K-beauty? Is that what they were doing?
That's exactly. And they were thinking about what they can do with an exhibition in Korea. So along with the exhibition, they added conferences and first time educational program and summits for high-end branding. So and created an online program called the Connect during the pandemic era, because they try to maintain the market with the webinars and podcasts and articles. And then 2002 they launched in Cosmetic Discover. Yeah, that was a search engine for the formulators, struggling looking for the right ingredients.
Sure.
So that's a great, service and idea, right?
So they really expanded globally then, right?
Yeah, now they have shows in Paris, Sao Paulo, and Korea, and Bangkok, and next year, Amsterdam. This new show is opening, and they are knocking the door to Japan with a conference at the moment.
Wow. Yeah. So as the example you gave us, like the main exhibition established is itself, and then it then expands outward overseas, and then so you have expert groups, and then you have, of course, networking platform for professionals, and so it's kind of like this very growing organically in a sense, but there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, right?
Yes, right. You got the you got the picture. Actually. Yeah. So actually, one thing I was very interested in this show is they do 묶음 판매.
What is,
mart.
Can you explain for our listeners?
Yes, for if you buy two, you get discount. Right? So in the show, as I said, there's a Sao Paulo, Paris, and Seoul. And so if you register to participate in this show, I'm going to go Paris and Sao Paulo. And you get discount.
I get
This is a very win-win marketing for the show. Yeah, that was very impressive.
Yes. Well, if we can switch gears, let's talk about this whole brand festa, because we hear about it, like I believe pretty much every year. And this is something that I didn't know. Is this something that was developed directly by Bexco? Because all this time I thought it was like an outsourced to a company that was kind of running it. But it came up by, I guess, people who work for Besco, right?
Right. Yes, it is. And Brand Festa, as the title, is a very meaningful event. So this was created to promote the branding of small local businesses only in Busan.
Yes.
So for the proper explanation, I met Park Jong-hyuk 차장님. His English name is Kevin.
Okay.
And who is in charge of exhibition to know more about the show.
All right.
Okay, so Busan Brand Festa was first launched in 2018 as an annual event. So we are on our 7th edition this year. As the name implies, it was developed to serve as a platform for showcasing Busan's wealth of unique business brands and their products and services. From its inception, the event was organized as a business-to-consumer event, and we put a lot of emphasis on promoting our event as a grand shopping festa, where thousands of Busan citizens and people from surrounding regions come to shop for high-quality products and services made by our proud local Busan brands. It's an event developed by Busan City for the benefit of Busan citizens and for boosting the Busan economy.
So it does sound like, if I heard correctly, mainly companies from Busan will be participating.
Right.
And also that they're going to be kind of like young entrepreneurs.
That's right.
Okay.
Right. So,
Yes.
So
Tell us more about this.
Yes, so the exhibition is very exciting. So about 2 years, I saw some exhibitors. They danced, swing dance. Near their booths. To attract more visitors, like to the music of Hit the Road and Jack. Don't you come back no more. And everybody was so excited.
Yes.
So that was very it was so good to see things going on like that on the floor of the exhibition.
Yes. So when is it, Brand Festa?
Let me give you more information about that. Brand Festa starts from this Friday, 14th to Sunday, the 16th, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, and especially it closes about an hour earlier on Sunday, so 10 to 5 p.m. on Sunday. So, but pre-registration has already ended, so if you register on site, you can enter for free.
Right. Well, is there anything else you want to tell us about the Brand Festa?
Yes, they have several events, so I also asked Kevin about it, and here's what he said.
As mentioned, one of the key roles and objectives of our organizing team is to create a grand Busan shopping festa that benefits everyone. Since the event is funded and hosted by the city government and sponsored by 5 public agencies based in Busan and BNK Busan Bank, we're able to utilize our financial resources on supporting our local brands to participate in our event, to promote their products and services, and also on carrying out a wide range of promotional events, such as our 10 million won cashback event and Big Buyer Lottery event that help us attract more participants to our event and increase on-site spending by our participants. So all in all, everyone participating in our event is a beneficiary of Busan City's efforts to boost the local economy. And there's something for everyone to see and enjoy at our event. So bring your friends and family to our event this weekend and take advantage of what Busan has to offer.
Yes. So once again, it's happening, as you said, this Friday. It's beginning?
Yes, Friday to Sunday. And Boogie is coming for 3 days.
Oh, Boogie! Boogie! I love Boogie. Yes. I've been have had the pleasure of being on air with him. I don't know what to call Boogie, but anyhow. So Boogie will be there for all of you who are interested, so you can go check that out at Bexco. Well, thank you once again for coming into the studio at this early hour, and we'll check in with you next week. Thank you.
It was my pleasure, and have a great Wednesday.
All right, everybody. This was our segment at Bexco Behind the Scenes. Well, I know that we have so many song requests. Today, we're going to go with this one for our final song, though. This is Moon by Jin of BTS.
돼가지고는 언제부터 이렇게 함께했던 건지 존재로도 빛나는 너 그 곁을 나 지켜도 될지 너는 나의 지구 내게 난 just a moon 네가 아름답다 하지만 내 바다는 온통 까만 걸 꽃들이 피고 하늘이 새파란별 정말 아름다운 건 너야 널 만나기 전까진 넌 내게 사랑을 줬고 이제는 내 이유가 됐어 너는 나의 지구 내게 난 just a moon 네 맘을 밝혀주는 너의 작은 별 너는 나의 지구 and all I see is you 이렇게 그저 널 바라볼 뿐인걸 In the crystal moonlight 두 눈을 감아도 넌 파랗게 내게 밀려와 In the full moonlight 두 눈을 뜨고서 널 담아도 괜찮은 걸까
부산영어방송
including pork belly, jjajangmyeon, and kimbap. The price of samgyeopsal or pork belly rose by 4.9% to over 20,000 won per 200 grams in May, according to the Korea Consumer Agency or KCA. The price of jjajangmyeon or black bean noodles went up to 7,223 won, kimbap 3,423 won per roll, bibimbap to 10,846 won. In the latest sign that soaring food inflation is posing a burden on people's daily finances. South Korea defeats China 1-0 in World Cup Asian qualification. South Korea defeated China 1-0 at home yesterday with Paris Saint-Germain's Lee Gang-in scoring the winning goal in the second round in the Asian qualifications for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. He netted his 10th international goal in minute 61 in the final Group C match of the second round in the AFC World Cup qualification. South Korea was trying to remain the third highest ranked AFC team in the FIFA rankings to ensure they would advance onto round 3 and avoid the continent's top two teams, Japan and Iran. Suspect arrested in stabbing of 4 Americans in China. A suspect has been arrested in the stabbing of 4 U.S. college instructors in a public park in the city of Jilin in northeastern China. Authorities described that the 55-year-old suspect collided with a foreigner while walking through a popular park in the city center, which is when he stabbed the instructors, as well as a Chinese tourist who stepped forward and tried to stop him during the incident, the police said in a statement. The injured have all received medical treatment and are not in serious condition. The U.S. State Department said it was aware of the incident and is monitoring the situation. Hunter Biden found guilty on all charges in gun trial. U.S. President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, has been found guilty on all 3 counts in his federal gun crimes case as the jury found that he lied about his drug use on a form when purchasing a handgun in 2018. He faces a possible prison sentence of up to 25 years, although highly unlikely for a first-time offender. The verdict comes as his father runs for re-election. It is the first time a sitting president's child has been found guilty of a crime. This was News Highlights. It's time for Issue Waga. We have Haley back in the studio.
Good morning.
Yes. So we have to get into our first story. You know, one issue that Koreans get really, really sensitive about, like, I know 2 things, like university admissions and like something regarding the military. But, you know, the fairness of university admissions, that is something that
we take that very seriously.
Very seriously. And
you
so,
don't mess with that.
Yeah. A case has broken out involving music schools.
Right. So Seoul Police's Anti-Corruption Investigation Office, they passed 5 music professors to the prosecution for violation or alleged violation of academic law and arrested 1 sitting music professor. So these professors, what they did, allegedly colluded with a broker and ran expensive tutoring classes, despite the law that says current professors cannot engage in not any tutoring, but specifically admissions tutoring.
Yes.
So the broker allegedly ran an unregistered tutoring ring in Gangnam from 2021 and connected 13 professors to 240 classes. So how expensive were they? The professors received between 200,000 and 500,000, so 20 to 50만 won, for classes that ran from half an hour to 60 minutes.
Right.
And the broker made about 100,000 won as a per case, as like an introductions fee. Not only that, there are allegations of nepotism and favoritism with the students they tutored in the auditions. So the professors, of course, being in their position, took part in the interviews and audition evaluations for schools like Seoul National, Gyeonggi, and Sungmyeong Women's Universities.
Yes.
And the audition entries for these music schools are apparently anonymous. They're unnamed. However, I mean, if you taught a student, you can tell who he or she is.
Just by listening to, let's say, even for like their voice or maybe even piano
vocals,
skills.
Or the pieces that they had the students practice. So they knew and they made sure that the students got in by giving them high scores. One professor also, after one of their students got into Seoul National University's music school, received a very high-end designer bag as a thank you from the parents. So this was a result of a year-long investigation by Seoul police across 33 major universities' vocal music majors.
So this is for vocal majors. Well, the scandal has prompted the Education Ministry to take action.
As it should. So the official from the Education Ministry said that they're in the process of coming up with a guideline banning second or multiple jobs for university faculty. I mean, here's the thing. There is a law that already bans it. So they're just coming up with a guideline which follows a similar guide on current teachers, school teachers and private education institutes after issues that the teachers allegedly made and sold CSAT practice questions to private academies. So this new guideline on university professors will emphasize the existing law that current professors cannot have jobs involving for-profit tutoring for admissions purposes. And the educational office also noted that these admissions wrongdoings, they're uncovered usually with an insider tip. So they're going to actually run a hotline in time for September, which is admissions and auditions period.
All right. Well, you have notice.
Right.
Be careful if you're in that field. Next. No one likes to pay for parking. I mean, no one. I don't like paying for it, but I do. But this particular person took things way too far.
So a university hospital's employee used receipts from patients to get parking validation over 130 occasions.
Wow.
Yeah, so this happened at Chungnam National University Hospital. The audit board there requested disciplinary action against this particular employee. He or she would get false receipts or used unclaimed receipts from patients to get free parking. So apparently they took advantage of the fact this person was weirdly smart about it. When you have a new patient and they register, you can get their receipt reissued without having it without being pinged by the system. So they got free parking.
Insider know-how.
The hospital has a maximum of 10,000 won parking per day, and you can get up to 8 hours of parking comped.
Okay.
So the employee got between 8 and 9,000 won of parking validated through the method, getting about 1 million won, 100만 won worth of parking comped for free.
Wow. So what happened?
This person did admit to doing this, saying that they thought it wasn't a big deal. I mean, it's kind of like, well, the hospital's paying for the parking anyways, and like the patient didn't claim parking, so like he or she thought it was a victimless crime. However, this is also interesting. They pointed out the small and unfairly distributed parking at the university hospital for staff members, which is, parking is a sensitive issue for workplaces.
Yes.
So the audit office, however, requested the hospital to retrieve the 1 million won this person unfairly made from comp tickets and for the employee to receive disciplinary action.
Well, just, we're going to put it out there. We all pay for parking.
We do.
In our building. I pay for my parking at my school as well. I argued against it heavily.
Right.
I was like, why do I need to pay for parking? I work here for full time.
Right.
They're like, everybody pays. Okay, everybody pays.
If you're unhappy, there are ways to go about it. Stealing receipts
That's not the way.
Yeah, you don't cheat the system.
No. All right, moving on. There are no kid zones, no pet zones. And now, when I saw this, no Azuma zones.
Azuma zones.
Yes.
So this is one of those stories where we let's warm up our eyeballs because there's going to be so much eye rolling.
Okay, here we go.
One fitness center in Incheon recently under fire for putting up a sign, "No ajumas allowed." And this was via a JTBC report, which shows in its report the "No ajuma" sign. Underneath it says byline: "Only sophisticated and elegant women allowed in. 교양 있고 우아한 여성만 출입 가능."
So if you look at our YouTube feed,
can I
you can
go
see
in?
it.
Like, I don't know.
Do I qualify?
Oh my God, my feed says no.
No,
so.
she was shaking her head no furiously.
But I drink with my pinky up. I have pearls.
When I first saw that, I was just like kind of offended, like proud ajumma here. But and then like I read like the rest of it, and I was just kind of like, well, am I or am I not? Do I qualify? Like, or do I not?
Am I
don't
elegant
know.
and sophisticated? Well, okay. Here's the thing.
Yes.
What constitutes an ajumma?
That's a good question.
And we can spend an entire hour talking about it.
Is it just when you get married?
Is it
or when
marital
you're
status
married
with kids?
plus kids? Or
is there an age?
Is you're just like an older woman who happens to be konde-ish? I don't know.
Right.
Like,
which,
when you get a perm?
So, I mean, when you get a perm. I mean, are they going to require marriage certificates for members? Well, this establishment, and the reason I brought it up is because it has a very interesting and specific, there are 8 categories of what qualifies ajumma versus women.
Okay,
Their
let's
words,
go
not
through
mine.
them.
Ajummas are also women.
Yes.
Number 1, if you like free things regardless of age. Check.
It doesn't look...
Me.
It's free
Number
bad?
2, people don't like you anywhere you go, but only you don't know the reason. Oh. That's kind of mean. If you sit in the expectant mother's seat on public transportation, I've seen both men and women do this.
Right.
Also, you can, I checked it with Busan Metro, you can sit there as long as you get up for expectant mothers when they do come on. Anyways, where am I? If you order 1 coffee between 2 people at a cafe and ask for a cup. 5, if you throw away food waste in public bathrooms. 6, if you save your money but not other people's money.
Oh.
7, you have poor memory and judgment and repeat yourself. Like, okay, that comes with age. Number 8, this is really mean. When you fall, only, and this is, I'm directly translating them, don't write me letters, only Jesus helps you and no one else. That's so rude and offensive to, I think, every religion and atheists. So the fitness center claims that they've had some poor behaviors from supposed ajummas, like apparently older women bringing baskets of laundry into the shower and washing it using hot water for hours.
That's a little much.
That is a little much.
Yes.
And then they say things to younger women, younger female members.
Like what?
Basically, you have childbearing hips.
Your hips are so well proportioned.
Yeah, like your body style, like you will look like you'll,
And by the way, your hip size on the exterior has nothing to do with.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's like
right.
the interior. Yeah.
So, by the way, I mean, no matter how distasteful you may find the sign, under the law, business can restrict certain group of customers. So no kids zones, no senior zones, and yes, even no ajumma zones if they please.
Wow. So I would assume that's for like private businesses.
Absolutely. Private businesses. I mean, there's always a difference between what you can do and what you should do, but you can restrict customers. Businesses do have the right to refuse service to anyone.
I have a question and I'm going to throw it out there.
Sure.
Like, do most Korean mothers after a certain age feel it necessary to get the perm? I've always wondered.
My mom says it's easier to maintain.
Right?
Yeah.
Or to maybe you are losing hair?
That too. Like after you have children,
full.
You do lose quite a bit of hair. Right.
Yes. Interesting.
Interesting indeed.
All right. Lastly, a very exorbitant, meaning very extravagant wedding gift is making waves in China. What are we talking about?
Right. So we do debate. I mean, it is kind of wedding season, and we debate about the appropriate amount of 축의금, the congratulatory money. By the way, is 5만 원 not appropriate anymore? Can I give 50,000 won? Like, does it have to be 10만 원? 100,000. Anyways, in China, there's also a bug there's a little fly in the
I showered,
studio.
So it's not me. I don't know what's going on.
Anyways, in China, a group of older siblings gifted their youngest brother 160,000 yuan, or that is 22 million won. 2,200만 원.
Wow.
In a lei, or in 2 leis made of bills.
Oh,
So
like
it's a
literally?
money necklace.
Oh, do we have a visual?
We do have a visual. We're going to throw that up there. And this is a viral video that's gone out from a wedding in Hubei province. I know. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, I
have sisters. Not married, but I have sisters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 8.
Yes.
This grown man getting married. This man has 8 older sisters and their husband. So during the wedding in the video, they go up to the newlyweds and put the money, the bills, leis on the bride and the groom.
Wow.
Turns out, and this is actually a really moving story, the older sisters actually raised a younger brother because their parents died when he was young.
Oh.
Interestingly, though, I mean, you'd think this is just a moving story and a very one that makes us all jealous.
Yes.
But this video also incited criticism about the kind of the phenomenon of male preference with South China Morning Post, which reported on the story, pointing out that because he does have 8 older sisters, no brothers, sisters. Perhaps the parents kept having babies until they got to the boy on try 9. And the report pointed out, and there is evidence to this, although it has changed in recent years, especially in large cities, the tradition persists. Even as of 2022, with the latest data, in China, there were 111.1 boys for every 100 girls. The natural ratio is usually 105, 106. That's the global average. So, yeah.
You know, when you told me about the whole 8 older sisters and their husband, I was thinking, but like just until a few years back, wasn't there like a one-child policy?
I think you could pay.
Or like they weren't like registered or
perhaps it's also good. There are a lot of good points to be addressed in this story. But hey, congratulations to the happy couple. You guys have 22 million won worth of like honeymoon funding. So
around your neck.
Sisters.
All right. We're going to call it a wrap for this segment, but we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right. And here is your updated traffic and weather. It is now time for your updated traffic. There was an accident on the Dongso overpass going out of the city by Hwangyang ramp. It has since been cleared, but there is still considerable backup. There's another accident on Cheongwanlo from Shinsegae Outlet to Chwacheon intersection. Right near that intersection, there was an accident in the U-turn lane. So they're cleaning that up right now. There's congestion on Jungangdaero from Sojeongcheon three-way intersection to Bugok intersection. It's also looking slow right now on Mandokdaero from Sukdung to Deokcheon intersection. And there's backup on the Gwangan Bridge going towards the Namcheon area. As for the weather, it's currently 24. It's going to go up to 31 for another hot one today. Special heat wave reports issued for Daegu and Ulsan, and the real full temperatures in certain areas may go well above 33 today. Showers are forecast for parts of Jeonbuk, Jeonnam, Gyeongbuk, and Gyeongnam later this afternoon. This was your traffic and weather. This is requested by Taejin Waver, Paran by Coyote.
Let's do it like that.
Rock the beat.
Welcome back, everybody. It's now 8:22 on this beautiful Wednesday morning. So we've been asking you, how much water do you drink? How hydrated are you? Do you have any tips on how to drink more water? And the reason why we asked you this question is because the temperatures have been soaring, and we want to get the awareness out there to keep hydrated, especially if you're working outdoors, or you're heading outdoors and maybe you're enjoying a really nice day out. And sometimes I think we're like so in the moment, we forget to drink water. And I confess, I don't drink enough water. I don't. I really don't. I thought about it. Yesterday, I think, 피디님 이거 몇 밀이에요? 이게 500이에요? I think all day I had maybe 500. That's bad. I know, especially since I talk all day long. That's what I do for a living. So I will self-chastise myself. I will definitely drink more water today. And later on, I am going to ask our expert. I'm going to try to squeeze this one in. Like, how much water should we be drinking? There are different guidelines. Some people are saying, oh, you should drink 2 liters. Like Jubro, who says, good morning, everyone, more than 2 liters. Exercise. People who exercise or talk a lot, you need more water. Yeah, I am in that boat. So like I said, confess, I'm not much of a water drinker, but I'm kind of like in Leslie's boat as well. Anything that I drink, there has to be ice. I mean, it's just like, there has to be. So, yes, with that, we'll be back with our special interview. For today's special interview, in line with our overall theme today of summertime, of being out in the sun, of even being hydrated. Yes, the weather's been so brutal, right? The year's first heat wave warning issued for the southeastern parts of the country yesterday, a week earlier than last year. And with the heat comes high UV levels, where we have to play, this very delicate balancing act of keeping our skin covered and protected while also keeping cool. But then we always hear we need vitamin D from sunlight. And then, so what do we do? Well, I don't know about you wavers out there, but I definitely put on sunscreen every day in the morning. It's a ritual. But are we using the correct type of sunscreen? And are we applying it correctly? Let's find out. We have invited back to the airwaves Dr. Alice Tan, an internist at Seoul MizMedi Hospital. She's on the air with us. Hi, Dr. Tan.
Hello.
Yes. So many questions. We're going to get right into it. Why is it, first of all, crucial to protect our skin from the sun, and also the consequences potentially if we don't do it correctly?
So the short-term consequences of not protecting our skin are increased risk of sunburn and heat-related injuries such as heat exhaustion or heat stroke. The long-term negative effects of unprotected sun exposure are accelerated photoaging of the skin. So that would mean premature wrinkles, sort of leathery skin, sunspots. And then also there's the risk of skin cancer, which can be fatal in some cases.
Yes, indeed. So I have to say, Dr. Don, the reason why I put on sunscreen every morning is I didn't do it when I was younger in California with the really, really hot sun. So I regret it now. So I want to know about the effectiveness of sunscreen, because we see the SPF ratings, and generally speaking, I think we know the higher it is, the better it is. Is that correct?
Right. So SPF, which stands for sun protection factor, is a measure of how much solar energy or UV radiation is required to produce sunburn on skin that is protected by sunscreen relative to the amount of solar energy required to produce sunburn on unprotected skin. In order for a product to be labeled as a sunscreen in the United States, it must pass FDA testing and receive an SPF rating. So the higher the SPF, the higher the sunburn protection. So
I'm sorry, I do need to apologize. All our phones are off, but the emergency alert, we can't turn it off, so it's on. I apologize for that. Go on, Dr. Dunn.
Okay. So any SPF value above 50 does not substantially increase the protection of UV radiation, but you can consider an SPF label of 15 absorbs 93% of UVB radiation.
Yes.
An SPF 30 absorbs 97% of UVB radiation. Since sunburn is mostly caused by UVB, so you can think B for burn rays, SPF values primarily indicate the sunscreen's UVB protection. When choosing a sunscreen, however, experts generally recommend choosing a broad spectrum sunscreen that offers protection against both UVA, which is what causes the photoaging, so A for aging, and UVB radiation, with an SPF of at least 15. Since the person's risk of sunburn is relative to the geographic location, the time of day, and the personal skin type, SPF should not be interpreted as an indication of, say, how much time you can spend in the sun safely without sunburn. That's not how it should be taken to represent. Also, in the EU, because in Korea we have products from both the US and, of course, domestic products and products from the EU, sunscreens are not considered drugs, over-the-counter drugs. They're considered cosmetics. And so their labeling is a little bit different. It goes from very high protection to low protection. And very high protection correlates to an SPF of 50 and above. Low protection correlates to an SPF of 6 to 10. And in Europe, sunscreens are required to protect against both UVA and UVB radiation. So if you want to know if you're getting both UVA and UVB protection, see if the product was made in Europe. If it was, then you're getting both protection. If you want to know and the product has an SPF label and it's made in the US, then you have to read the label and make sure that it has both broad protection against both UVA and UVB radiation.
Got it. So, Dr. John, there have been videos making the rounds on social media showing that maybe we need to apply like 2 fingers worth of sunscreen. They call it the 2-finger method. So that got us to thinking, just how much are we supposed to be putting on? Because I do apply sunscreen every day, but then, it's like, I always wonder, is this enough? Is this going to, keep me covered even with a couple layers of thin makeup? How much is enough?
Yeah, so how much and how often?
Yes.
Many people, including myself, I was not properly educated on how to apply sunscreen when I was a kid.
Right.
In terms of timing first. So the first application should occur 15 minutes prior to sun exposure. In other words, if you're going to the beach or to the pool, applying sunscreen, once you've arrived at the sand, that's probably too late. You want to apply sunscreen either in the car or in the hotel room or in your house before heading out into the sun. Then throughout the day, you should plan on reapplying sunscreen at least every 2 hours or more frequently if you're swimming or sweating, because that's going to cause the sunscreen to get off your skin. Next, in terms of the amount, you should apply, so this is sort of hard to calculate, but for doctors, we say 2 milligrams of sunscreen per square centimeter of skin. So what this means is 1 ounce or about 30 grams or 1 soju shot full of sunscreen to the entire face and body for 1 application. So if you consider 1 tube of sunscreen typically is about 60 milliliters or about 2 fluid ounces, and you're going to spend all day out on the beach or by the pool, you should basically finish off 1 entire tube of sunscreen by yourself by the end of the day. So if your sunscreen tube isn't empty by the time you go home at 5 p.m., you have not applied enough.
I'm like shocked right now.
In shock, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That much.
Yeah. That's the rule. So if you're doing it properly, by the end of the day, your sunscreen tube should be empty. If it's not and you have enough for next time, that means you didn't apply enough.
Oh my goodness. So now I need to ask you, because there are like creams, there are spray-ons, and then there are like the very popular sun sticks, and then there's like they look like the cushion, like makeup looking kind of sunscreen that, lots of, young girls really kind of like applying. I mean, are all sunscreens equal, or are there some that are more effective than the others? What do you say?
Right. So in terms of the effectiveness, the SPF value is what's going to let you know how protective it is.
Yes.
So look for that, first of all. And then in terms of the way that you are applying the sunscreen, if you're applying it as, say, a roll-on or a stick, it's hard to say if you're putting on enough, because you can't really measure how much you're putting on with each application, with each sweep. If you're squeezing the sunscreen onto your hand, then it's really easy to see, is this a shot full, or, how many, how much, am I actually putting on? Because you can visualize the amount that's in your hand. Nonetheless, if the ease of application, so in the form of a cushion or a roll-on, if the ease of application is going to lead to more frequent and consistent application, it could be a more practical option. But make sure you read the label. Make sure that there is an SPF indication, that it's at least 15. And then, as I said, it should be reapplied every 2 hours at least. And
then I also want to ask you, how long can we store sunscreen? Because I think I did find a sunstick from like last year, maybe 9 or 10 months since I bought the sunstick. I mean, is it okay? Is there an expiration date on sunscreen?
So there should be a label, you know, but if there is no expiration date that's on the label, in general, you should say if it's been more than 3 years, 3 years or more, then throw it out because it's not going to work anymore.
Got it.
So
3 years.
Also, in terms of how you store your sunscreen, you should avoid direct exposure to sunlight. So if it's been, say, sitting on the dash of your car, exposed to direct sunlight, that's going to decrease the effectiveness of the product. So instead of lasting, say, 3 years, maybe it's only going to last 1 year. It's hard to say. But when you're outside with the sunscreen product, try to keep it wrapped in a towel or in the shade or inside your bag, not exposed to direct sunlight, because that can decrease the effectiveness of the product.
Right. And then for, all of our listeners, but especially parents, what key ingredients should we be looking for, or actually even avoiding when it comes to choosing sunscreen?
So a relatively recent study found that some chemicals used in chemical sunscreens can be absorbed from the skin into the bloodstream. So some authorities have recommended avoiding sunscreens containing the chemicals oxybenzone, octinoxate, avobenzone, and octocrylene, among other chemicals, because these are the ones that were found to be absorbed. We don't have direct evidence that they will cause any physical harm. But because we know that it can be absorbed into the bloodstream, and some of these products are also absorbed and released in breast milk,
I see.
Some authorities recommend using caution.
And I do want to ask you this. I mean, we have seen like the technology these days. There's like UV protective gear, like clothing. Should that be like in addition to sunscreen, or can it replace sunscreen?
Right. So there's no sunscreen that blocks 100% of the UV radiation from the sun. So it's important to follow other sun safety tips, such as avoiding exposure to the sun from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Those are the 4 hours of peak radiation. Wearing a wide-brimmed hat, also sunglasses and sun protective clothing, like you were mentioning, as well as staying in the shade when you're outdoors. These will definitely help to decrease potentially harmful UV radiation exposure. And these recommendations are especially important to protect children and infants who have more sensitive skin and in whom sunburn can have lasting effects for years to come.
Right. And Dr. Tan, I know this is not on our slate of questions, but I want to squeeze this one in because it's also our text topic. It's also regarding, just being safe during the summer. So when we talk about hydration, how much hydration is enough? I mean, is there a magic number or is it different depending on the situation?
So our bodies, they have a great thirst kind of mechanism that regulates the amount of fluid that we take in. So listen to your body. If you feel thirsty, that means you don't have enough fluid in your system. So drink to thirst.
Yes.
In general, we say, if you're not doing any strenuous activity, you're not in the hot heat, 6 to 8 cups of non-diuretic fluid. So in other words, if you drink a cup of coffee, that's going to make you urinate a cup of fluid. So that doesn't count. So 6 to 8 cups of non-diuretic fluid is generally what we recommend. But if you are sweating a lot, you will need to take in more fluid. One indicator is the intensity of the color of your urine. So if it's dark yellow, that means you're not drinking enough fluid. But listen to your body in terms of thirst. If you feel thirsty, that means you need to drink and be proactive. Also, if you're sweating a lot, having just plain water, that can cause your sodium levels to go too low. So in those cases, you should be taking in electrolyte fluids because you will need some extra salt in the fluid to make sure that you do not become hyponatremic or have your salt levels go too low.
When we talk about the electrolyte being included in drinks, are we talking about, without using brand names, like certain like sports drinks? Is that what we're talking about?
Right.
Okay,
so those are fluids, that have the extra electrolytes, such as sodium, such as potassium, because that's what you could be losing in your sweat.
Thank you for answering all our questions, including the one I squeezed in right now. Thank you so much for your expertise on this matter, Dr. Tan.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Everybody, this was once again Dr. Alice Tan. We talked about sunscreen. So important, but I was really shocked, at least, about how much we need to be lathering on when we're out, especially in the sun, enjoying ourselves. All right, we are going to have a song break. This is 태양을 피하는 방법 by B.
나의 모습 바보 같은 나의 모습 환하게 비추는 태양이 싫어 누군가 날 알아보면 왜 웃냐고 물어보면 대답을 해줄 수가 없는 게 너무 싫었어 태양을 피하고 싶었어 아무리 달려봐도 태양은 계속 내 위에 있고 너를 너무 잊고 싶어서 아무리 애를 써도 넌 내 안에 있어 아직도 너의 그 미소 나를 만지던 그 두 손 그리워하는 게 너무 싫어서 많은 사람들 속에서 누구 얘기를 나누면서 잊어보려 했지 넌 또다시 눈물이 흘렀어 태양을 피하고 싶었어 아무리 달려봐도 태양은 계속 내 위에 있고 너를 너무 잊고 싶었어 애를 넣어봐서 아무리 애를 써도 넌 내 안에 있어 모두 다 내가 잊은 줄 알아 하지만 난 잊을 것 같아 너무 잊고 싶은데 지우고 싶은데 그게 안 돼 태양을 피하고 싶었어 아무리 달려봐도 태양은 계속 내 위에 있고 너를 너무 잊고 싶었어 아무리 애를 써도 아무리 애를 써도 넌 내 안에 있어 내 너무 깊이 다쳐 나올 수 없는 상처같이 너라는 사람도 우지 지워지진 않지 헤어져도 같이 사랑하는 것까지 눈물로 너를 다 그래서 지워버릴 수만 있다면야 끝없이 울어 내 눈물 강을 잃어 흘릴 정도로 많이 울어 살아도 너를 잊고 제대로 살고 싶어 제대로 살고 싶어 yeah. 제대로 살고 싶어
All right, listeners, I do have a public service announcement that I need to get out to you. The Korea Meteorological Administration, KMA, announced at 8:27 a.m. on June 12th, 2024, that a magnitude of 4.7 earthquake occurred 4 kilometers south-southwest of Busan County, Jeongbuk Province, at 8:26:49 a.m. on June 12th, 2024. Individuals in the surrounding areas of the earthquake-affected region may feel earthquake ground motions. Please be careful of your safety and tune into a public broadcasting channel to keep yourself updated on what is happening and what to do next. This was a message from the Korea Meteorological Administration. And I have a second one that I do need to get out to you as well. The Korea Meteorological Administration announced at 8:32 a.m. on June 12, 2024, that a magnitude of 4.8 earthquake occurred 4 kilometers south-southwest of Busan County, Jeongbuk Province, at 8:26 and 49 seconds a.m. on June 12th, 2024. Individuals in the surrounding areas of the earthquake-affected region may feel earthquake ground motions. Please be careful of your safety and tune into a public broadcasting channel to keep yourself updated on what's happening and what to do next. This was a message from the Korea Meteorological Administration. So I read 2 public service announcements out to you. It was first 4.7 and they updated to 4.8, so I had to read both to you. So thanks for bearing with me, and I'll be back with our next segment. It's time for Skills 101. We have Jennifer in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes,
yes.
Yes.
It's finally hot.
It is so hot, and we have earthquake alerts going off.
The sound was so alarming.
The sound was, I was like, I swore I turned my phone, it was on silent mode.
Oh.
So I did want to apologize to our listeners out there once again. It was because of the earthquake. Our phones are always on silent, but those emergency alerts, we have to have them on.
The safety comes first.
Yes, yes. All right, so what are we talking about today?
So today we'll be discussing how to live a more self-directed life. I think a lot of us can relate to this topic. It's not about living to please others, but instead prioritizing yourself and your own needs.
Yes, yes. So this is really important for many of us, especially here. If you live in Korea, there's a strong cultural emphasis on, good is good, 좋은 게 좋은 거야. Maintaining harmony and considering other people's opinions, right?
Sure, sure. And constantly compare our lives with others.
That's true. That's true, right?
Yeah.
So tell us more.
Yeah. So let's begin with self-awareness.
Okay.
So understanding our own emotions, desires, and values is the foundation of a self-directed life. So when you know yourself well, you're less likely to be swayed by others' expectations.
Yes. I really agree with that, right? Once we're more self-aware, what's the next step?
The next step is setting boundaries. It's about knowing where to draw the line to protect your own well-being. This can be tough, especially if you're used to saying yes to everything.
Saying yes. Sometimes we're programmed, I think, to say yes.
Yeah, there are yes men and yes women
out there.
Yeah, out there.
Setting boundaries, though. This can be challenging. Do you have any personal experience maybe related to this?
Oh, sure. I used to be a chronic people pleaser. I would agree to do things that I didn't really want to do just to avoid conflict, feeling uncomfortable.
Sure.
But over time, I realized this was draining me.
Yes.
Really sucking my energy. So I started practicing saying no in low-stakes situations, like declining a social invitation when I needed rest.
Yes.
So gradually, it became easier to set boundaries in more significant areas in my life.
I agree. I mean, but how do you suggest someone like, oh, maybe, you need to set some boundaries, or maybe like yourself, like, how do you know?
When we are not used to it, we need to start small.
Okay.
So identify one area where you feel overwhelmed by others' demands and practice asserting yourself there. So it could be as simple as not answering work emails after a certain time or saying no to a social event. So remember, it's about protecting your own energy and time. And you notice it when your energy level gets lower and lower and lower.
That is true, right?
Yeah.
So now let's, switch gears a little bit and talk about like building self-confidence and self-assurance. How does that tie into maybe living this kind of self-directed life?
Oh, this is so important. Self-confidence is crucial because it empowers you to trust your decisions and stand by them, even when others disagree. Sometimes when others disagree with your opinion, you feel so small and you feel so conscious. So one way to build confidence is by celebrating your achievements, no matter how small they may seem. So reflect on your past successes and remind yourself of your capabilities. Like, I can do it,
Yes. So celebrating those like small minor wins, I think, can definitely boost confidence. Any personal anecdotes?
Oh, yes. When I first started setting boundaries, I was nervous about how people would react. Would they be angry? Will they be disappointed? But each time I successfully asserted myself, I felt a little more confident. I began to realize that my needs and opinions were just as valid as anyone else's.
And while you were saying this, I was thinking to myself, like, one thing that can negatively affect our confidence is when we kind of constantly compare ourselves to others because, and in this age of social media, it's so easy to do so, right? This constant comparison.
Yes.
And it can make us kind of feel inadequate.
Oh, that's true. And it's very tiring. Yeah. Comparing ourselves to others can be incredibly damaging. There's a great quote I love. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Oh, I like that.
Which I really agree with. When we constantly measure our worth against others, we lose sight of our own uniqueness and our strength and achievements.
Right. Great quote, though. How can someone break this habit, though, of like constantly comparing themselves to other people?
First, we must understand that the grass often looks greener on the other side.
Right.
What you see is not everything. Things can appear better on the outside than they really are.
True.
Yeah, so we mustn't be fooled by that, especially on SNS. Everybody's looking so happy. Life is wonderful.
Everything's so perfect, rosy, right?
Yeah.
Anything else we can do?
It also helps to focus on your own progress and set personal goals.
Okay.
So remind yourself that everyone's journey is different. Celebrate your own milestones instead of looking at where others are.
Yes.
For example, I used to compare my career progress to my peers and it felt like I was falling behind. A is doing so much better than I, even though I put effort. But when I shifted my focus to my own goals and achievements, I found more satisfaction and confidence.
So do you think you shifted kind of your perspective from maybe external to maybe more of an internal thing?
Yeah, sure. That's what I did. I tried to focus on myself and what I was doing than looking at others' achievement. So by focusing on what we can control and celebrating our own progress, that's important. We can build a stronger sense of self-worth and live a more self-directed life that way.
So does this mean that if we practice this, like, with yourself, that it will become that much easier? It can become a part of our life?
That's right. It doesn't happen overnight.
Okay.
You just you cannot change it to a different person overnight. You know, it's a journey, and it's okay to take small steps or even fall. The more you practice self-awareness, boundary setting, and self-confidence, the more natural it becomes to live a self-directed life.
Well, it does sound like we're going to need some time to work on this one. It's not going to happen overnight, as you say, but thank you so much for coming in, sharing your personal experience mixed in with your expertise and sharing with our listeners.
Thank you for having me. Please remember, it's not selfish to prioritize yourself. Your happiness, your well-being should come first. So we have to remember that and remind ourselves constantly.
Yes. So let's try to do that this week. So thank you so much, Jennifer.
We'll do that. Bye-bye.
Once again, this was Skills 101 with Jennifer. And today we talked about a variety of issues. The overall theme today was about just how hot it has become, and also with our special interview, the correct way of finding sunscreen and how much and how often we should be kind of lathering it on, especially like a day in the sun if you're going to the beach or whatnot. And we also talked about hydration. Oh, so important. Yes. All throughout the past 2 hours, I've been kind of telling myself, trying to brainwash myself into saying, hey, I need to drink more water, especially because, I talk for a living, right? So I hope all of you are keeping cool, keeping hydrated, and keeping healthy throughout the day today. And a big thanks to our production staff, our producer, Cho Yun-jin. We have our writers, Haley Sa, Annie Moon. I'm your host, Catherine. I'll be back to do it all over again tomorrow. And here is our final song, Make My Life a Better Place by Mama's Gun. So have a fantastic day. Bye, everybody.
Seem like heavy weather. Some people seem to cloud your day. They only bring you down to somewhere lower. But when it comes to you, all I can say is you make my life a better place. You bring the sunshine all through the rain. You make my life a better place. And baby, since we've been together, it's getting better every day. Some people see it as half empty, and some people seem to want what they don't got. But when I look at you, there's nothing more I need, 'cause your sweet love, it fills me up. You make my life a better place. You bring the sunshine all through the rain. You make my life a better place. Baby, since we've been together, it's getting better every day. And I'm praying it's forever. Let it always be this way. Something you
부산영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다 축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지